Good morning, everybody. It's November 28th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Hey everybody, Andrew Plank here with the Vibe Real Estate Group. Happy Thanksgiving to our U.S. friends down south. U.S. Thanksgiving today.
How are you doing? Do you celebrate U.S. Thanksgiving?
I do not. No, I just celebrate the Canadian one. I mean, so Jane, you're referring to the fact that I was a U.S. citizen.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm born in the States, raised in Canada, so raised by wolves. And So I became a Canadian citizen in my 20s, and I've been dual citizen ever since. And then a couple of years ago, I actually um, became solely a Canadian citizen.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I used to work in an international school, and a lot of people would really be celebratory on that day when they became a Canadian citizen, and we would go and decorate their houses on the campus. This is at Pearson College. Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
Little known fact.
Always an opportunity to celebrate when you have a multicultural school, because everybody has a holiday in their country at different times. So many opportunities.
Anyway. We used to do a thing called Regional Day. It was a lot of fun. I don't think they do that anymore. They do something different, but
it's timely we're talking about out of country, because we're talking today about selling a property if you are out of country but you have a country in Canada, and what you have to, if you're non-resident of Canada, what do you got to think about? What do you got to know?
Yeah, and this topic came up because I have two clients right now who are Canadian but living out of the country. We're going to talk about what it means to be a non-resident, what the definition is. It's going to be a quick overview, and then if you want more information, I have a ton of links, which I'll post in the chat as we go. Okay, but first of all, if you do like our show, please like us. We actually aren't able to stream it onto our channel, the Victoria Real Estate Show, because we don't have 100 likes yet. So please go and like that page. Don't forget to subscribe to us and comment if you have any questions. We love to hear from you. It's so exciting when someone comments, and don't forget to share as well.
All right.
So I put a little flame in here.
So last week, I was really excited because our new listings for the week were equal to the properties that went pending. So the pool of properties coming in was equal to the pool of properties going out. We are now on fire, as Jane has put into this graphic. We have now 145 new listings went on market, but 171 properties went pending. So we're definitely going to be seeing our inventory going down, because that's just the basic math there. We've got more going out than we have coming in. 80 price decreases, 4 price increases. 9 properties came back on market that had been taken off. 144 properties transacted. That's the lagging indicator behind those pendings. They go pending first, and then some months later they sell. 39 expired. So when you add those expireds to the pendings, that's quite a lot of properties that are coming off market. 6 properties withdrawn. So again, the last. Go ahead, Jane.
Just want to say, like, the list to sale ratio is 117%. So that's what we were going through during COVID. So it felt really fast.
Yeah. You've often done that calculation. It's more like 40% list to sale. Now we're over 100%. Yeah.
And I think it'll drop off again. I think it's just kind of an anomaly. And, it's funny. We had a long weekend, and November 11th. And I don't know about you, but I was very busy. So sometimes when people have the time, that's when they make the decision.
I'm certainly, I've got a lot of active buyers right now, which is not as common this time of year. I've got 2 new listings going live this month. I guess, well, 1 today, so this is November still, but another next week, 2 weeks. Anyway, the point is that I don't usually see that kind of activity as much. So yeah, it's hot, but then we've also got, we were expecting the low interest rates bringing more people to the table, a housing market increase, but that is also dependent on world events. And Mr. T down south started using the big T word of tariff, his favorite word. and that could impact our market here as well if we start seeing economy issues with tariffs.
Yeah, so we're actually gonna just touch on that a bit as well from Jen. So net unconditional sales over the past week were 425. Those are sales pending for the month. That's compared to 394 for November of 2023. New listings were at 656. That's less than last year at 885. And generally, November is like the listings start to go down. Total active listings now, we're below 3,000, which is the first time we've been in a number of months. So this is interesting compared to.
I should say the reason, it is. The reason we see listings going down in December is not because they're selling or people are exactly giving up, but people do take a break often over the holidays. And there is that whole idea that a listing can go stale if it's been on market for a while. So this is a natural time that people start to take them off the market, concentrate on just, having their homes more ready for gatherings of friends and family than for gatherings of buyers through. And then we start to see those come back. So when we see these active listings numbers going down, it doesn't mean anything really significant other than they're going to be back in the new year.
Or there's more sales happening.
Yeah. So where's Jen?
So Jen is away, and she's not allowed to do that anymore.
She's off somewhere having fun.
She did send us a little video, or a little, not a video, an audio. So let's just see if I can play this for you.
Okay.
Oh, cannot play it for you.
Through. That is not coming through. She also wrote something out. Should we just read it? Do you have that?
Go ahead. Yep.
Oh, I got to find it unless you have it.
I've got it.
Okay.
Okay, greetings from Belize. I was going to try and log in tomorrow, but don't want to get caught on poor Wi-Fi. The big concern right now is the blanket 25% tariff that President-elect Trump has indicated will be coming into effect as soon as CFS is officially back in office. The tariff will have a negative effect on our economy.
Your audio, Jane, just went bad. Jane, hello. Can you hear me?
We are seeing a pretty volatile bond market.
Okay, which lost Jane.
Fixed rate increases, which is mostly due to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's announcement of relief on the GST products until February, and a one-time check for Canadians earning less than $150,000 in 2023, which will come in the spring of 2025. This is causing the sellers of bonds, and we have seen a fixed rate increasing. And we have two different products here. Variable looks like they're going to go down, and the fixed looks like they're going to go up. Current rates available right now are for a high ratio purchase. The best rate is 4.14% for a 5-year fixed rate, or variable is 4.99.
Jane, you couldn't hear me, but we couldn't hear you while your headphones were on the ground.
Oh, get out.
Yeah. But it's okay because your voice is so gravelly anyway. Come on.
You know what's so funny?
Did you not see me waving and trying to catch your attention?
No, because I'm reading her, but it's her audio was playing at the same time as I was reading it.
Okay.
Anyway, essentially, that's funny.
Let's put this in a nutshell and move on.
Essentially, we're seeing she's going to get a big laugh out of this. The tariff is going to affect our variable rate. Mortgage holders, it'll probably go down, variable rate, and fixed rate will be affected by a volatile bond market and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's announcement of the GST relief for people earning less than $150,000, which will come in spring of 2025. So we've seen a sell-off of bonds and fixed rates increasing. So right now, best rate for variable is 4.14% fixed rate, for
variable.
fixed rate, and variable is 4.99. So they're making bets.
They're making bets, yeah. And we don't know. I mean, we know that Trump could be posturing. It happens. He's done that before to get people to negotiate into the table. So we don't know if 45%, a 25% tariff is truly coming down the pipe. We just know that that's what's been thrown out there.
Yeah, a little bit of
Okay.
what is it? Elon Musk action happening there,
How do you mean?
right? How do I mean? I mean that Elon Musk tends to do these announcements, whether or not they're
Right.
true or not, to
Okay.
affect.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So sometimes there's what do they call that? A trial balloon, floating something out there to see how the response is, and then taking action depending on the response. So let's trial balloon this non-resident of Canada thing and see what people think. So yes, you've got a property. You're not a Canadian citizen. You're not a Canadian resident. You could be a Canadian citizen and still be considered a non-resident Canadian. If you own property in Canada, you need to know and be really clear on whether you are considered a resident of Canada or not for tax purposes. Because if you are not a resident of Canada for tax purposes, when you sell your home, there is a withholding tax. The government of Canada withholds, you're expected to withhold some of the money from the sale, 25% of the sale proceeds. And that can be really, really problematic. And if you don't do it, and you're supposed to do it, and this is also really important for buyers of that property, it can put the buyer on the hook for paying it. So you got to be really careful. We do address this somewhat contractually, but these are things to worry about. So, Jane, I'll let you. Do you want me to read this and save your voice?
No, it's okay.
Is it...
I was going to say, so I had a client, we sold in May, and they were going to go away to Belize for, like, they were just going to take off. And I'm like, you can't take off because all of a sudden that changes you to a non-resident Canadian, which means you'll have a 25% withholding tax. You can take off after, July 1st.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so what after?
After you have been in Canada for 183 days or more.
I see. Right. So one thing when we're talking about this tax, it's not actually a taxes per se. It is a requirement to withhold 25% until your taxes have been clarified and we know, and the government understands, and you've filed whatever you needed to file in order to know that you don't owe taxes. And they will take from the taxes you owe from that and return the rest. Yeah. So it's not that you're paying 25%.
Right. And also what they're doing is they're asking you to file a tax return, and then they're seeing where you stand and then going from there.
You just turned into a robot now.
No. Okay. Anyway, somebody's texting me. Okay, so let's say you are a Canadian citizen, but you don't have a social insurance number. So you need a social insurance number. You can apply for an individual tax number or a temporary tax number, and they have this application on this page, which I'll put in the chat here. And the purpose of that is just so that they can track things, and that takes 6 to 8 weeks to process, which I thought was pretty fast.
I tried doing some research on this non-resident based on something I'd heard at our most recent sales meeting. I was half listening as I was doing something else to our recent sales meeting, and one of the mortgage brokers was talking about, oh, come on, you pay attention all the time to everything. You don't multitask. I see Jane smiling there. But they were talking something about the fact that it sounds like there was a change to this withholding tax and it might be increasing, or maybe it's the increase in the capital gains that is going to impact what you're going to be paying in taxes at the end of the day when you sell. So there was an additional thing there, and I went looking for news on that. I didn't find it. I think it may have been to do with the fact that capital gains are increasing on your sales.
Right. So it would be, it would have been 50%, and now it's 50% up to 250 and 68% 250 and over for any
Yeah. So the whole point of that withholding tax is that the money doesn't just leave the country and the government doesn't receive any taxes that you might owe after having left, including and especially that capital gains on the sale of the property. So if you bought a property for 100,000, sold it for 200,000, you're going to pay tax on the difference on that 100,000 gain you made. And it used to be, and you're not paying 50% tax. You are applying that 50% to your taxes based on your tax rate. So it's considered income at 50%, not a tax. Anyway, it gets complicated. Talk to your accountant for sure. Just what we're doing here, folks, is highlighting. Why are you shaking your heads? This is really important. You don't just take what we're not tax advisors, we're not lawyers, but do take this as a warning, as shots across the bow. If you own foreign property in Canada, if you're a foreign owner in Canada or non-resident of Canada, talk to those folks and get the goods on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the form, and you just take off this little box that you're disposing of taxable Canadian property. And there can be other times that you need to fill in this form. You will need to get notarization of your ID done, and it goes into details about how to do that.
Okay. Jane,
yeah.
You're coming through to me. It's sounding to me like you're, again, robot-y, and I'm just wondering if anybody watching can put in the comments if they're also getting that. It might just be what's coming through on my end, but you've cycled back and forth from robot to regular voice, and I'm not sure what's going on there.
Could be my cold, but I'll go out and come back in again.
Yeah, it's definitely not the cold. It's you're back to normal now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
so
property. I'll put up my finger if I hear robot voice and take over. Okay.
Okay. All right. So this applies to real property. It also is if you're part of a trust, you have to actually submit it. If you're like, let's say you're a kid, you're one of 10 kids or something, and you're living in the States, you actually have to file this for Canada. So whatever your interest is on the property. And what made me think of is there are a lot of Americans, especially in Ontario, who used to own cottages. And so a lot of them sold, especially when the tax was changing a few years ago.
Right. Yeah, a couple of areas where this trips up our colleagues and we've got to watch for this ourselves is if there's a corporation and the corporation has interest, it has owners outside of Canada, then that can trip it up. If there's an estate and there is an estate outside with beneficiaries outside of Canada, that can also trip it up. And it's very hard as the agent bringing the buyer to know what's going on in the will and what's going on with these things. So again, there are provisions in the contract and there's protections in place, and good lawyers should be able to handle these things. But these are areas for concern. Lorraine says she hears the same, but it's good now.
Thank you. All right. So when to notify CRA? Well, first of all, when you start to sell your property, I think you should apply for your social insurance number or your the other form there where you're kind of itinerant. And then once you get your contract of purchase and sale, you then submit it. Now, this is interesting to me because they do allow you, if you have had, they call it a list of adjustments to the adjusted cost base. So that's if you've done any improvements in the property. So you can deduct those from your, just like regular capital gains.
It's like taxes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really want to keep a record of all the improvements that you've done on a property.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing for a rental property. So this is, they want to know what you've spent and they want it all documented.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you're going to be taxed differently because it is total capital gains. The rental, it's going to be way more than just personal.
Yeah, talk to your accountant, talk to your accountant, talk to your accountant. Speaking of rentals, when I was researching this topic, renters are now getting, renters are getting a rough introduction to the country's foreign investor problem. Canadian Revenue Agency just informed tenants they're on the hook for the unpaid taxes their non-resident landlord may owe. In a bizarre decision, the nation's tax authority is telling tenants who pay rent to non-resident landlords to withhold a portion and remit it on their behalf, or they may be liable for the amount with penalties. Isn't that fun? Isn't that ridiculous? What's that?
How do you even know that?
Yeah, well, how do you know that as a tenant? Exactly. 99.9% of tenants are just going to be paying their landlord, probably working with the property management company. Hopefully the property management company is alive to this. But yeah, this is new. Yeah, Lauren says, uh-oh. Uh-oh, Jane's voice is back too. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, now you're back to normal. It was a bit of a background thing. Yeah, so this is interesting. You know, this whole withholding tax is a minefield. It's dangerous for people. It's something to be really aware of. And on top of all this, if you think about it, you're selling your home. Let's say you bought it here, a Canadian resident, Canadian citizen. You bought it. Now you're going to go traveling overseas for a year. And not sure again how this all applies, but where I've seen this apply is actually back when foreign ownership was allowed. And we still have a lot of foreign owners in Canada, but right now we can't have foreign buyers. But there's a lot of past foreign buyers. They call us, they want to sell the home. What if they have a mortgage on the property? They want to sell it, but 25% has to be held back from the proceeds. If they have a large mortgage on the property, they're not going to be able to pay off the mortgage, which means they're not going to be able to sell it, which means you can't withhold the prop. Like you're kind of locked in.
Well, I think you pay off the mortgage and then it's the balance of the capital gains. It would be the whatever.
It's the 25% of the sale price of the property that's held back until you've done your clearance, you got your clearance certificate. So if you're holding back 25% of the value of the property and you have a loan at 80%, there's no way you can actually sell the property. That's my point.
Yes, you just have to wait.
Yeah, keep paying it down. Nope, the values go up.
So
Yeah, you're gone. So selling rental property, you'll need to have a record of upgrades to your house, as Jane said. Capital cost allowance schedules for all years, a list of adjustments to the adjusted cost base with supporting documentation, documents to support the allocation of the proceeds of disposition. I can't, like, this is such, sorry. My mind glazes over as I'm talking this stuff through. Documents to support the allocation of the proceeds of disposition between land and building. Documents to support capitalization of interest, and a completed T2062A form. Looks like Jane is going out and coming back in. And yes, that graph on the right-hand side is representative of just how complicated this could be.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Yeah, much better.
Okay. So I'm on my Rode mic. Okay. So, I mean, these are cut and pasted from the forms, but one of the things that they do say here in the applications is that you can submit a letter to the CRA, which I think is important. It kind of humanizes a bit the process a bit. So just understanding that you want to be aware of what the balance is that you're owing on your mortgage, and B, when you're selling in the year, because if you need the cash, you're going to be selling at the end of the year. you can probably get this process before you file your taxes for this year for 2024. But if you sell early next year, you're going to have to wait a whole year to file your taxes again.
Okay.
So, which is what, I'm talking to people about right now. So this is also important to understand. This is going to be happening when you buy in other countries as well. It's not easy. So, and just in speaking with an agent the other day, who's out of country right now, and he's thinking of purchasing in the US, and I'm like, I don't know why you would do that. Such
Well, I
pain.
mean, there's a lot of our colleagues did, and friends. I've got friends who did really well after the '08 crisis in the States, and they went down with cash, and the Canadian dollar was doing well, I guess, compared to US, and they bought up vacation properties, and got friends down there right now, in Arizona and so forth, because it was a good time to buy. And you only know it's a good time to buy, folks, in retrospect, 5 or 10 years later. You don't always know, like, this could be the best possible time to go buy foreign investment properties, or the worst. It's just the future will tell. You can usually get a good sense, though, and line up based on certain factors, but just, yes, that's the point. And the point, I think, again, I'll really stress again, we are not experts in this matter. We don't come across this matter very often. This is just highlighted for us, and it's important enough that it shows up in our contracts as part of the boilerplate contract. You need to state whether you're a resident of Canada or non-resident of Canada, and that highlights flags for lawyers and so forth. But there are pitfalls and there are risks in all of this. And again, talk to your professionals around taxes and lawyers, taxes and law. I got to do this disclaimer over and over again with this one.
We can just have it going along the bottom of the whole thing. Talk to your lawyer. This is not.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, really, you need a plan when you're going to sell, especially if you're a non-resident. Just be careful when you're traveling out of country that you're not traveling for more than 183 days, because you're changing your tax, your tax and your health benefits, actually, your tax status and your health benefits, and consult, I guess, with a consultant as well. A tax consultant is what I would recommend, somebody helping you to fill out the forms and understand. And they also want a letter describing how you use the property. So
yeah.
These are sort
and
of
again,
important.
At the end of the day, this is not a 25% tax. This is walking past. This is a withholding tax that gets paid back after you've filed your clearance certificate. So they just want to make sure you aren't in arrears on your other taxes, and that you are paying taxes that are due on the sale of property, just like any other Canadian would be due. It's not an additional tax on foreign people, but they do hold that money back until they've got proof. So I just want to clarify that, because we keep calling it a withholding tax, and it's not exactly a tax. I mean, it is. If you don't actually file anything, they're going to hold that money, but you do have the right to clarify and get the money back.
So they're going to withhold the money until you file your taxes, and then you'll get whatever you are owed.
Until you've received the clearance certificate, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll give you back the remainder of the 25% minus that. So, okay.
I'd just like to thank Andrew, first of all, for just putting up with me, because I just throw these topics on him and he deals with it so well. So thank you, Andrew. Anyway,
thank you, Jane, for spearheading this and always coming up with something interesting to talk about.
So takeaways for today are: it's a hot market.
Yeah. It's still a hot market. Yeah.
It's still a hot market.
It's a hot December. Okay. So that's like saying, you're not going 200 on the highway, 200 miles an hour on a highway. You're going, 35 in a 30 zone. We're in December. It's a slow time of the year anyway. It's just a little faster than normal.
We're in November, but yeah.
We're going into December. I guess I'm ahead of myself. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving again, everyone.
Okay. Hopefully I'll be well enough next week. Okay. Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me at 250-360-6106. Cell, that's a direct line. You can text me as well. That was a rhyme. info@andrewplank.com is the email, and Plank Andrew is the Instagram. realvibe.ca and andrewplank.com are the websites. Come check them out.
Okay. Personally, I think I've done the worst job on the show ever. Anyway, but if you want to reach me in real life, I'm a pretty good agent. My number is 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. Obviously, I'm not feeling 100%. You can reach me at briarhillgroup.com, and you can look at these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com, and they're also showing up on our YouTube channels, which I think we should delete and and redo. You can also visit me at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria or Briar Hill Group to see what's going on in real estate in Victoria.
We all have good days and bad days, and if we only showed up on our good days, then we'd show up less often.
True. All right, you guys. So this show is every Thursday at 9:30. Let's end with a bang. If you have any questions, reach out to Andrew or myself. And thank you so much for coming. And thanks, Lorraine, for visiting us from Portugal.
Yeah,
we'll
thanks,
see you
Lorraine.
soon.
Wow. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Have a great day.